Bria Hartley after it, where she's smiling, and I'm like, I don't know.
Did Bria Hartley just give us the dirtiest play in WNBA history and then ran away when it blew up in her face? One foul, one viral smirk, one suspension, and instead of owning it, she quit. That's the story.
So it looked like Bria Hartley is going into hiding. It looked like Bria Hartley is running after news broke about Sophie Cunningham being out for the season.
As we have seen, Sophie Cunningham's injury just exposed Bria as the dirtiest player in women's basketball. So here's the question for you. Should she ever be allowed back in the league? Or all such players must be kicked out from the league permanently? Drop your answer in the comments right now because this one has the entire WNBA world divided. Let's start with the moment that set everything off. Fever versus Mercury. High tension, playoff level intensity, third quarter. Sophie Cunningham cuts hard to the basket. Hartley steps in, and instead of clean defense, she barrels into her planted leg. Sophie drops instantly. She grabs her knee. The crowd holds its breath and trainers sprint out. Fever players are frozen in shock. On replay, it looks worse. Not just contact, not just a hard foul, a reckless collision that felt targeted. Sophie's night is done, and then the camera catches it, the part that turns an injury into a scandal. Hartley looking back with what fans call a grin, a smirk, a sinister smile while Sophie is writhing in pain. That freeze frame spreads faster than the injury report. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, everyone zooms in, pauses it, slow-mos it.
Clearly smiling after injuring Sophie Cunningham, man.
Fans say it tells the whole story. This wasn't bad luck. This was dirty. That clip changes everything. Fans aren't debating whether Sophie got unlucky. They're debating whether Hartley just exposed herself as the most reckless player in the league. And if you think the anger was limited to social media, what comes next will really blow your mind. Sophie's own family steps in. Her sister Lindsay blasts the referees, saying maybe instead of fining players for criticizing officials, the league should hire refs who actually protect athletes.
This is what Sophie Cunningham's sister had to say. She stated, at WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game and protect your athletes. Pathetic. Praying for you, Sophie.
She calls the officiating pathetic. Fans cheer because it's exactly what they've been screaming all year. Sophie herself had already been fined 3 separate times for calling out refs. Now her sister's words are a confirmation. Her mother Paula piles on too. She posts that Hartley is plain mean and out of control. Deletes it later, but it's too late. Screenshots spread everywhere. You can't just push it under the rug or call it venting because it's Sophie's own family confirming she was targeted.
Sophie Cunningham, let's be clear here. Sophie Cunningham was targeted. Let's be very, very clear here. But Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty player.
And the WNBA has no choice but to step in. Within 24 hours, Hartley is suspended pending investigation. But instead of facing it, Hartley makes the worst move possible. She vanishes. Social media accounts go private. Some deleted. She gives no apology, no explanation, nothing. It looks like guilt. If it was just a basketball accident, why run?
Now, guys, I am not making this up. Bria Hartley has privated all her social media accounts. Now, this is coming off news breaking about Sophie Cunningham being out for the season.
Meanwhile, Sophie's test results drop. Torn 550. So the season is basically over for her. One of Indiana's toughest leaders gone. Sophie wasn't just another player. She defended. She hit shots. And most importantly, she had Caitlin Clark's back. She was the one standing up when opponents hammered Clark game after game.
She do not want the smoke with Caitlin Clark fan base, aka the Indiana Fever fan base, bro. She don't want nothing.
Sophie was Indiana's enforcer, their fighter. And now, she's gone. And here's the irony. While Sophie was posting F around and find out as a defiant message to doubters, she never once dragged Hartley publicly. In fact, on her podcast, she did the opposite. She said she didn't believe Hartley meant to injure her. She even called her a friend. Said she had nothing but love. Meanwhile, Hartley, still pretty much silent. And that silence made her look worse than any suspension. Because in sports, sometimes the cover-up looks guiltier than the crime. But here's where it got even messier. The league was already under fire for bad officiating all season long. Players had complained nonstop. Inconsistency, missed calls, dangerous physicality with no whistles.
So did we all forget about the attack on JC Sheldon, knee Caitlin Clark in the groin, threw her right groin off, hence why we're in this position right now.
And Sophie had been one of the loudest voices. She called refs out on her podcast. She got fined for it. She warned them. And then she ended up on the floor with a torn MCL. You couldn't write a script this ironic if you tried.
I think Bria Hartley's a reckless player. I think Bria Hartley's been a dirty player in her career. I think she just fell.
The criticism poured in. Fans said refs were too busy flexing power by handing out technicals instead of actually protecting players. Sophie got punished for words, while Hartley gets away with a cheap shot until it's too late. Now add Hartley's reputation. This wasn't her first moment of chaos. Fans dug up the history, the ejections, the shove matches, and the infamous hair pull on Angel Reese.
Bria Hartley is the same woman that pulled Angel Reese out of there by her ponytail. This is the same woman we're talking about.
And then came the lawsuit talk. Some outlets reported Hartley could actually face legal action. Imagine that, getting sued for a foul.
Player like Bria Hartley must be investigated for civil rights violation. And I gotta heart that one. And just like I told y'all, civil rights thing is heating up with this Sophie Cunningham now.
But the argument wasn't crazy. Sophie lost salary. She faces months of recovery, medical bills, lost opportunities. If the league won't protect players, could the court step in? That's what fans were asking. If one lawsuit hits, it opens the floodgates. Every player who gets slammed, shoved, or dragged could go straight to court. The WNBA could be looking at chaos far beyond officiating.
We are talking about it where it's like situations where the refereeing's been so bad in the WNBA. It's been so bad that we're looking to blame the referees for everything, and I think there's logic to that.
But here's something that no one's talking about. Not everyone bought the narrative. Some analysts slowed the tape frame by frame. They argued Hartley just fell awkwardly after a pass, that if it were any other player, nobody would be calling it dirty. They said the smirk might not even be a smirk at all, maybe pain, maybe just bad timing on the camera angle.
Bria Hartley went down hard. She went down hard too. There is a chance that she's in pain here, and she's not smiling. And this is just her being in pain on the floor.
A freak accident, not a hit job. That defense didn't stick with fans, but it kept the debate alive. Because here's the brutal truth. A win doesn't erase the bigger picture. Sophie's season is over. Indiana lost their fighter, and Caitlin Clark just lost the one teammate willing to stand up when opponents turned her into a punching bag. Without Sophie, Clark is more exposed than ever. And you don't think the rest of the league notices that? Please, every guard in the WNBA now sees blood in the water.
Watch out for Bria Hartley because she's a dirty ass player, and boy did it show up again today. Told you guys this girl was a dirty player, and that's all she did today was show how dirty she is. This is unfortunate. I don't know how the Indiana Fever can continue to survive these things.
And here's where it all circles back to Hartley. Because for all the debate about intent, she managed to torch her own reputation. Every headline isn't about her career, it's about that foul, that smirk, that suspension. And then the final nail, quitting before the investigation even finished. Instant karma. Hartley walks away not as a veteran role player, not as a leader, but as the league's villain. A name forever attached to Sophie's injury. That's her legacy now.
Bria Hartley, you are a dirty, low-down dog of a player, you. You dirty player, you. You injured Sophie Cunningham, you targeted her, and we all could see it.
Meanwhile, Sophie handled it with more class than anyone, posting F around and find out. Speaking on her podcast, giving Hartley the benefit of the doubt. And fans aren't letting the league off the hook either. Because this isn't just about Hartley, it's about officiating that's been brutal all year. It's about stars dropping left and right. Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, and yes, Caitlin Clark herself. Fans aren't buying bad luck.
Who would have thought? Caitlin Clark has missed now 13 straight games. She's only played in like 12, 13 games all year. All year. Who would have thought Sophie Cunningham out for the year? How can this team continue to survive?
They're calling it what it looks like, the WNBA failing to protect its stars. And if the league can't keep players safe, what happens when sponsors start asking the same question? What happens when the biggest names, the ones drawing sellout crowds, start to wonder if the risk is worth it? Because let's be clear, this was supposed to be the WNBA's breakout year. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, packed arenas, national TV, and instead of celebrating growth, we're here talking about lawsuits, dirty fouls, and whether the league is turning into UFC with sneakers.
When nobody else would hold Caitlin Clark down, Sophie Cunningham said, you know what? I got you. Now she's done. The best addition we had all season.
That's not the image you want when you're trying to prove women's basketball is at its peak. So where does it go from here? Maybe Hartley stays gone? Maybe the suspension becomes permanent? Maybe the lawsuit rumors stick? Either way, the damage is done. The smirk is viral forever. The foul is viral forever. And Hartley will be remembered not for her career, but for ending Sophie Cunningham's season and running from the consequences. And for the Fever, they have to move forward without their fighter. Mitchell, Boston, Sims, they proved they can rally. But the question is how long they can hold without Sophie's edge.
Indiana Fever fans wake up pissed off today. Pissed off. Not only are we getting assaulted, but they're smiling about it. This is the 6th time they've smiled, laughed, and cheered on our Indiana Fever players getting assaulted.
So let's end where we started. Did Bria Hartley just make the worst decision of her career? Was it a hard basketball play gone wrong? Or the dirtiest foul the league has seen in years? Should she ever play again? Or did karma already take care of it when she quit under the weight of her own actions? Drop your take in the comments right now. Smash that like if you think Sophie Cunningham deserves justice.